We had no idea. I never thought we'd be in the middle of a cancel culture. The biggest thing that you got out there is social media.
Right.
People always want to tell their side of the story. It's not always true. Once we start explaining to them what happened, they walk out with a Liberty safe.
Change is inevitable. Like every success happens because you changed something and it was a fear that was within you.
Motivation only lasts for a short amount of time, but discipline is what carries you forward.
I can't do this on my own, period.
Are you looking at your business in terms of emotion, or are you looking at your business in terms of what's practical?
I still believe that America is the best country in the world. Where can a kid of immigrants with no education become a physician?
This is Small Business Celebration, where we're celebrating small businesses for big breakthroughs.
We're here in season 6 here on Small Business Celebration, and this episode we're going to be talking about mechanics, security, and safes. Yes, we are here at T&T Liberty Safes here in Bakersfield, California, and our guest this week is Dirk Turner, the owner of T&T Liberty Safes. Welcome to Small Business Celebration.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And for Visioneers who don't know who are you, and what is it that you do?
Well, I'm Dirk Turner, owner of T&T Liberty Safes out of Bakersfield, California, and Clovis, California. We sell gun safes, wall safes, money safes, jewelry safes, just anything like that.
We've heard this over and over and over again of a person or family or a couple persons that go ahead and start off a business as a hobby that becomes something much larger than that. And that is you to a T.
That's right. In 1989, my dad he had been looking for a safe, but he couldn't afford it. So and he was also disabled.
Okay.
So I went to work after I graduated,
Right.
and told him that I'm going to buy a safe.
Right.
So once I bought the safe, he asked the gentleman that he was buying it from if he could start selling his safes.
Right.
So we started buying them at a wholesale price, 2 or 3, 4 at a time,
Right.
and then selling them at retail from there. And it just kind of grew at that business.
Now, one of the important things about this is you are not a franchise.
Nope, not a franchise. We're the sole owner of this business.
You carry what brands of safes?
Well, we carry Liberty, which is our main brand. Then we got Browning, Fort Knox, Superior, Champion, Stealth.
Right.
So we got many different brands.
What were you doing when you started this business as a hobby?
Well, I had just graduated in '88, and then
Okay.
I become a meat cutter. I'd been cutting meat for a few years.
At a grocery store?
At a grocery store. So
Right.
I was still cutting meat after I graduated.
Right.
And so I was working full time when we started the business, and I told Dad, yeah, I'll go ahead and deliver the safes for you, and he was doing the selling part.
Wait a minute. Okay, so you're at a grocery store and you're cutting meat all day, and now you have to go lug around these 2-ton pieces of hunkin' metal into people's houses upstairs and whatnot?
We deliver them, yeah, in the garage, in the house. At that time, we did do upstairs, but we put them where they wanted them to.
Right,
So.
right. And things grew, and at what point did you look at the numbers and go, yeah,
Well,
we could do this?
it was about 1982, so it was a few years later,
Right.
when we started with Liberty then,
Right.
and went down and bought 4 safes, and in one weekend we sold all 4 safes in one weekend.
Wow.
Went back and got 4 more safes and sold those within the next week. And we thought at that time, this could become a little bit bigger business than we anticipated.
It's one thing to convince yourself that the business is going to work. It's another thing to convince your spouse.
Well, personally, at that time, I didn't have a girlfriend.
Okay.
So I was single. But my dad, my mom,
Right.
he had a hard time explaining to my mom how this was going to work.
Right.
Because she was working in a grocery store too, and trying to make ends meet with what she's bringing in. And she didn't like the concept of this. She didn't think it was going to work.
Who's going to want to buy a safe?
Right. Who's going to want to buy a safe?
What won her over?
Once she started getting a little extra money in her pocket. So,
Success breeds success. Yes.
exactly. So when she seen that that we could sell these and make a little extra cash, that's what's winning her over.
At Visioneers, if you hear the bell chime for the door or you hear a conversation going on in the background, it's because the business is open. And where are we?
We're at 6201 Knutson Drive in Bakersfield, California, just 2 doors north of Hodell's.
And your location in Clovis, what's it nearby?
That is nearby Valley Rod and Gun on Clovis Avenue and Gettysburg.
Now that is location, 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 right near a gun shop.
Right near a gun shop. That's right. Worked out good for the last 20 years.
Perfect. And at what point did you get where you said, you know what, we've got to hire our first employee?
Our first employee was hired just for delivery, help me with delivery.
Right.
So then a little after that, we got to the second employee because of the bookkeeping. Mom just could not keep up with bookkeeping.
Right.
Once we got that going with with Debbie, then she's taking care of our books. Mom was showing her what we were doing, and Debbie also brought in some expertise for us too.
What kinds of safes do you offer business owners?
We've got money safes for drop safes.
Right.
We've got in the floor safes. We got wall safes to where you can put them in between the studs and hide safe itself. We've got large jewelry safes. You know, if you're going to put $1 million in it, we can get you a 4,000 pound safe to protect your business. But most of the time, it's going to be a drop safe, something like that.
Or something that's fire rated.
Or fire rated, yes. You know, because you want to protect your tax papers, all your important CDs and things like that you want to keep safe, and you know, in case something happens.
And one of the things about this location that you have is you have walk-in safes that you can show.
If somebody wanted to build a vault room,
Right.
then all they got to do is have the contractor build the vault room itself. We have the vault doors. So we go out and install these doors that will go into the concrete itself. And once you walk in, you can build it as big as you want, you know, and be able to line your guns in there. You can put your cash in there. You can put anything else that's valuable to you.
And if you own a home, you can actually make it a safe room.
That's right. It's a safe room. So if something's happening outside, you can go in there, lock yourself inside, be safe inside there. You know, you can also get yourself out because it has internal handles.
And if you're looking for a new home for your walk-in safe, I suggest you talk to Mike Saba, sponsor here on Small Business Celebration. Mike Saba is a Zillow Premier agent with Watson Realty, selling Bakersfield homes since 1992. Give Mike Saba a call at 661-203-8406 or reach him at mikesaba1@icloud.com today. And the sponsor of our first Visioneer question. Are you ready?
I guess so.
Okay, Visioneer Lucy asks, our business started as a part-time business, has grown to full-time, now we're hiring employees. This sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it?
Right.
How do you chart the mechanics of your business so they can be copied by others later on?
As you start to hire your employees, you're looking to see what type of tasks that you want. And the task, you know, being clerical for office work, and or if we're delivering safes, you know, you got to be able to communicate from the office to the back to get the safes delivered, get them prepped. Once you get them back into the store, then you've got other employees to move forward with that.
Now, I have to say this because this is one of the first things I noticed when I came in to do this conversation. How many Debbies do you have here?
I've got 3 Debbies.
3 Debbies. It's almost a prerequisite. Your first Debbie, what did you hire your first Debbie to do?
The first Debbie was here for clerical, for office work. You know, that way she can do the payroll. She can take over Mom's job, which was the payroll part of it, the bills, entering our invoices in, things like that for us.
And then, how did Debbie number 2 come along?
Well, Debbie number 2 came along because Debbie number 1 needed a vacation after a couple years.
Right.
So
you really worked her that hard.
I worked her that hard. She had to have a vacation. Imagine that. So, finally, we put out to hire another person to take her place, you know, temp.
Right.
And this other Debbie came in, and once we hired her, we found out what she could do. She could do the office work. She can also do sales. She can do some of the ordering. There's a lot of other things she was able to be good at. So we thought, you know what, let's keep her around.
And then you've got a third Debbie?
And then a few years later, it was probably 10 or so years later than that, the third Debbie takes care of our Facebook, our social media. And we've got 3 names now for them. I told them they had to change their names.
Sure.
So we got Debbie,
Right.
Deborah,
Right.
and Deb C. And Deborah always thinks she's in trouble because that's what her mom called her.
Deborah!
Yep.
So I guess if you have to hire another front office person, she's got to be named Debbie.
It's got to be Debbie.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way it's going to be.
Or I'm sorry, you're just going to have to change your name to Debbie.
That's right.
I don't care if you are Catherine. How did you know when it was time to hire somebody?
After I quit Albertsons meat cutting, and I was trying to keep up with the deliveries on my own, and I just could. I had to prep the safes. I had to load the safes, deliver the safes, unload the trucks that coming in. So I was doing all that while Dad was actually in the back end or front end doing his business, the selling of the safes, his paperwork, his things like that. And he would help me as much as he could, like I say, he was disabled, so he couldn't do a whole lot.
Right.
So as far as hiring that first employee, it was just that I needed help to be able to get one more safe delivered.
How do you go through and make sure that the numbers can work before you hire that person?
Probably, look, you got to know how your business is. And every business is going to be different, whether you're in the business for a year or 35 years. And once you start knowing the ups and downs, and there's always going to be some hidden things in there, but you can fairly gauge it. Now, you may be thinking you're going to hire this employee for just a part-time, and they turn out to be full-time.
Right.
And that's what I've done with a lot of my employees. Thought, hey, this is not a career job for you. This is just a part-time job for you. But they've turned out to be careers for some of my employees. They're going to be with me until they retire, and I'm happy to see that.
How do you think the new California gun laws are going to be affecting safe sales?
The handgun boxes.
Yeah.
Okay, so people need to store them in their cars, because if they're going to the parks, going wherever, they can't have their gun.
Right.
Okay, so
and you're talking about console safes and things like that.
Well, there's console safes, and there's also small, what we call Vaultec is the name brand of them.
Okay.
So we need something to put in the vehicle itself, because we can't take it into a courthouse.
Right.
So we got to be able to lock it up in a DOJ box.
Got it.
California DOJ. So
and that's California Department of Justice.
exactly.
Okay.
So once we get that in there, we can toggle it. There's a cord you can wrap around. You can bolt it down, whatever it is. So that way they just can't take the box and leave, break the window and take the gun at that point. Do I think it's going to help? It'll help in those instances there.
Right.
But as far as my larger gun safes, I don't think it's going to help that much, because these are home safes that we're dealing with versus the small trunk safes, for cars, vehicles.
Now it's time for the Visioneer Game. And the Visioneer Game is brought to you by Oxley Pest Control. And if you've been in the San Joaquin Valley, you know we've been getting a ton of rain and fog. And you know what that means when the temperature starts going up? Mosquitoes. For protecting your greatest assets from pests since 1994, Oxley Pest Control is focused on stopping the spread of disease, ridding your community of pests, and keeping you comfortable in your home and business. Call Oxley Pest Control at 661-325-2687 or visit them at oxleypest.com. That's OXLEYPST.com today. And Visioneers, we're going to go ahead and play the Visioneer Game. And if this is your first time with the Visioneer Game, the rules are really very simple. I have an app on my phone that's got a random word generator. I have no idea what the words are, but more importantly, neither does our guest. And it's our guest's responsibility to take whatever word that randomly gets generated and somehow apply it to his business. Are you ready?
I guess so.
Okay.
Bring it on.
Our first word is troop.
Troop. I guess we're a troop of a business to deliver the safes.
It's another word for team, huh?
I guess so. It's team.
There you go.
Okay.
Good first start. Okay. Our next word is legality.
Legality. Well, we carry the safes for your legal papers.
Right?
So we got your legality in our safes.
There you go. Perfect. And our third word is spend.
Spend. Well, you spend little with us to keep the extra spend in the safe.
Love it. Well done, you.
Okay.
Because this actually takes me wonderfully into my next question for you, which is your father passed away in
2014, December.
Okay. That was 10 years ago.
Yep, close to it, yes.
So for the last 10 years, you've been running the business yourself.
Right.
And how have things changed?
When he passed away, we were in a 2,500 square foot business. Right after he passed away, this building that we came up, 15,000 square feet, came up for sale.
Oh.
And that was a big purchase for myself, trying to figure out if it was going to pan out for me. There was some sleepless nights in there just trying to think about it and make sure it's going to pencil out. And that's probably the biggest change for us is moving a business and trying to make it work. But there's been a lot of other things going on too.
What were some of the landmines that you stepped on that you recommend others don't do?
Well, I think the biggest thing is just looking at your financial. Don't overextend yourself.
Right.
And it's very easy to overextend yourself.
How so?
We just got to make sure that the money keeps coming in that we can pay for it, because it's not just the rent of a building, it's the PG&E that's going up, it's the insurance that's going up, it's everything else in that type of expense. So it's not just one expense, there's a bunch of other expenses.
How much did the liabilities of your business go up for inventory going from one location to the next?
The liabilities as far as inventory, we went up probably about 30%. Just to try and fill it up. Just to get that inventory to fill the product.
I don't know about you, but if I grew my business overnight into a new location and my overhead went up by a third, I think I'd have a sleepless night too.
Yeah, it was. But we knew the business because we had been in the business for, at that time, 25 years, already. So we knew what we was going to bring in. We knew how that was going to pan out. Now there's always ups and downs, and we got to factor that in too.
And sometimes you have a vendor that gives you a right hook in the middle of the night that you had no idea was coming. Right,
and that's what happened to us here in September. Liberty came out with something with a combination deal that they gave to somebody that people didn't like. Our business. I think the business in a whole changed overnight. The industry changed overnight.
How so?
And as far as giving out combinations, because what's nice about this, when you buy a safe from us, the combo is stored at the factory, and we can get the combo. So if you got your medicine you got to get into, if you got to get your passport for the next day, if you're going hunting the next day and you need your gun, you come into us, you show us proof of purchase, we can get that combo for you. Otherwise, you got to pay quite a bit of money to drill the safe and get into it that way and fix the safe. So this is the easier to get into it.
And this challenge that came up was largely because there was controversy on how the combination was received and that sort of thing, but it had a very stark impact on your business overnight. How did you treat your customers and how did you overcome this? Because this was not something that you saw that you could have even seen coming.
We had no idea. I never thought we'd be in the middle of a cancel culture. It's something that's different for us. Okay, who knew that safe business would be in cancel culture? So at this point here, when we've seen what was happening, the biggest thing that you got out there is social media.
Right.
People always want to tell their side of the story.
Yeah.
It's not always true.
Right.
And that's all I want is a truth out there. Because once our customers came in and they say, I want a safe, but I do not want Liberty now. And once we start explaining to them what happened, they're like, okay, and they walk out with a Liberty safe.
Right.
We're delivering the Liberty safe to them. So as soon as we can explain to the customers, they're fine with it.
So riddle me this, Batman. Because this is something that the little voice in the back of my head, and I am not good at math.
Right.
Okay. How many versions of the combination is there on a lock?
There's like 1 million different versions.
So you've got 10 numbers.
You got 10 numbers. Now, with this thing that happened with the combination there, they thought it was electronic lock, which is 10 numbers there. Right. The 10 numbers will give you 6. It's got to be 6-number combination. So with the 6-number combination, we'll give you 1 million different possible combinations. Okay. Now with the one that they gave was a mechanical lock, a spin dial.
Right.
Again, that has 1 million different possible combinations.
So it's a million.
It's right. Well, it's just 1 million.
Okay.
So just 1 million different combinations that you can put on the mechanical lock, or 1 million different combinations you put on electronic lock. There is no backdoor to a mechanical lock. There's one code. That's it.
Right.
Now electronic lock. Yes, there is what we call an MRC code.
Okay.
So if you can change your code at any time you want, but the MRC code is set for life in that, so which is stored at the factory. And we can get that code for you. So if you need to go hunting, if you need your passport, if you need your medicines, we can do that without costing you a lot of money.
Or get a very expensive drill bit.
Exactly.
To make some holes.
That's it.
And that brings us to our next Visioneer question, which is brought to you by Mike Saba, a Zillow Premier agent with Watson Realty, born and raised and never left Bakersfield. Give Mike Saba a call at 661-203-8406 or reach him at mikesaba1@icloud.com today. Visioneer Hunter asks, that's a great name. That's a great name.
The safes.
Our business has just been hit with a major upheaval that came out of nowhere, and it's something we have no control over. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Did you go through something like this, and how do you provide security to your business?
For us, we had to look at it and we had to adapt pretty quick, you know, because this was with one manufacturer that happened to us.
Right.
So, and unfortunately, our name is T&T Liberty Safes.
Right.
So that made another downfall. But we also have the backup for us. It's T&T Safe Company.
Okay.
And we'd been T&T Safe Company prior to the T&T Liberty Safe. So we just kind of changed everything real easy to T&T Safe Company and kind of got away from them for a little while, you know, to kind of see if that backlash was going to hurt us.
What is up with the John Wayne collection?
Well, as I was just a little boy,
Right.
you know, Dad liked John Wayne.
Okay.
And he got me into the movies. We watched the movies as I was growing up. I loved John Wayne then. And
Right.
as we started collecting a few things, then everybody thought, hey, birthday gift.
Oh,
Here's
no.
this. You know, Christmas gift. Here's this one. And
Yes.
it just kind of kept on going. So with
Whether you like John Wayne or not.
whether you like John Wayne or not, most people I think do. But so we had to put up his pictures, and we had them in our old shop.
Right.
So we decided this was going to be our John Wayne room. You got to come in and see the John Wayne room. All these pictures we have up of him.
And all the different paraphernalia stuff. It's wonderful. Tell me about the Stein collection in your office.
The Stein collection is just something that we started getting Dad at one time. He was in the military in 1960 to 63.
Right.
So he was stationed in Germany.
Right.
Well, Germany's known for their Steins.
Right.
Okay. So he brought back, you know, several Steins, sent them to my grandmother, and as I'm growing up again, I know these Steins that he's talked about. You know, I always look at them. So when I got older, they started making them for Budweiser and some others, you know, and so we started collecting them for him. Now we probably got 100 different Steins. Well, he passed. Who gets them?
Congratulations.
Yeah. So I didn't want to get rid of them. I just got them in my office. You want to come in and look at them? Come on in.
Is the American dream dead?
No.
Why not?
I think it's still there. It's very much alive. If anybody has a vision, they can move forward with it. You know, you just got to apply yourself. You know, once you apply yourself and know what's going on around you, then you can move forward.
What makes you wake up every morning and open your business?
Well, probably one of the number one things, you know, this has been a nice business for us, but it's a security business. And with the security business, we looked at it as we're able to lock up the guns from kids, from other people, and to keep our Second Amendment that much longer. If we secure our guns that much more and protect our guns, or protect our kids,
Right.
you know, from the guns, then I think that's what makes me wake up a little bit more, you know, and to every safe I put out there is just another set of guns that potentially not going on the street. It's just like T&T, saving lives one safe at a time.
For the business owner that's struggling right now, what do you say to encourage them and help them keep going?
Don't give up. Take a look around you. Ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. You always need somebody back there, kind of, you know, telling you get out there and help. You know, just to keep that encouragement up.
Who is that person for you?
I'm going to say my dad.
Yeah.
He you know, I miss him a lot. We got into the business because of him, and with that, he still keeps me going today for that. You know, he's the one that encourages me the most. I don't want to let him down. So,
If Visioneers want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
yeah, stop by 6201 Knutson Drive, Bakersfield, California. Call us 661-393-3782 or tntlibertysafe.com.
And if you enjoy Small Business Celebration, go ahead and like, subscribe, notify, and leave a comment. Send us something nice. Tell us how wonderful Dirk Turner is and everything he and his family are doing here at Liberty Safes. And we'll be right back with my final thought. It probably comes as no surprise to you, Visioneers, that most of my guests who appear on Small Business Celebration have never been interviewed before in their lives. And often when I speak to prospective guests, I get the, well, Michael, I don't know if I've got anything interesting to say or any interesting stories to tell. And then I talk to the hardware store owner. And he tells me about how he invested in a popcorn machine to help drive traffic into his store. And he tells me about the customers who would secretly pull up to his store and the kids would jump out of the car and steal the free popcorn and take it back in the car with them and they would drive off. Only to have a week or so later, that same customer would come in through the front door and buy a couple gallons of paint and a couple paintbrushes. And this was the breakthrough that helped grow his business. So if you've got a story, you've got an industry, you've got something about your business that's interesting, let us know. Reach out to us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, and let us know how your popcorn machine has helped lead your business to its next big breakthrough. And the shadows will fall behind you. It's winter here in the San Joaquin Valley, and this morning our dog Bella very stiffly crept out of bed and went through her doggy door into the backyard, where she stiffly turned and faced the morning sun and stood up as tall as she could, squinting her eyes, and took in the morning heat of the morning sun. Now, Bella's 13 years old, and her eyes are not nearly as good as they used to be, and her hearing is pretty much shot. But her 13 long dog years have taught us something that's quite insightful. You see, it doesn't matter how cold or dark the winter night may be. The morning sun springs anew. It gives us the warmth and the energy, the strength to take on a new day. After all, Walt Whitman once said, "Keep your face always towards the sunshine, and the shadows will fall behind you." I hope you enjoyed our conversation this week with Dirk Turner, the owner of T&T Liberty Safes, and I hope you learned something that you can use today to grow a strong and profitable business. And we'll see you here again next week when we celebrate another small business making a big breakthrough. By the way, what happened to the shark who ate the keys to the safe?
The shark that ate the keys to the safe?
Exactly.
I don't know.
He got lockjaw.
Okay.
How did the ghost unlock the safe?
I don't know. How did the ghost unlock the safe?
With his spooky.
Okay.
Don't worry, I've got a million.
You
of
got a
these.
million? Thank you.
It's all day long.
Bring them on.
Shall we get started?
Let's go.
Okay. Welcome to Small Business Celebration.